This is Pro Boxing Fans here with maybe the youngest operator in boxing at the moment, Shane Watson. Is that right? Or
don't know what. I'm actually 2 years younger than Ben Shalom, and he's got much higher older than me. But maybe. I'd have to check on that one. Be good if I am. Maybe.
We're down here at the BT Studios in East London today for the announcement that Joyce is facing Joe Parker, WBO number 1 versus WBO number 2. We first thought this fight might be happening in July. Apparently, Joe Parker shook hands with Frank Warren at the Tyson Fury fight in April. It didn't materialise. It has materialised now. What went wrong and why are we now seeing it?
A number of things. Joseph Parker, well, we agreed the deal. Everything was done, as you heard Frank say earlier. And he decided to sign with Sky. Sky, I think, promised him slightly more money, but not for the same fight, so he clearly didn't want to fight Joyce that much because he wouldn't have gone and signed with Sky. And then I think they realised that they couldn't pay him the money that they promised him unless he was fighting Joyce or Dylan White. Now, Dylan White wants a comeback fight, I believe, against someone that's slightly lower level, probably a confidence booster. So that fight wasn't on the table anymore, and Joyce wasn't going to go and fight in Sky, considering BT just put a lot of money into him on a TV advert and whatnot, which was just played for the Champions League final. And he's their number 1 star now, so they weren't just going to go and let him fight in a rival broadcaster when they just had the fight done. All that time wasted just for him to go and fight on the rival broadcaster anyway. It's not going to happen, is it? And they knew that when they made that offer. I don't want to call it a fake offer, because I don't want to be disrespectful to Sky and Boxer, because they do a lot for some of our fighters too. But realistically, that fight offer was never gonna materialise in Sky. So yeah, it's annoying that it happened late, but in a way, I think it's a blessing in disguise. Joe's got 4 rounds under his belt, a good confidence booster. Not that his confidence was low, but he did come off a broken arm against Christian Hammer, and now he's got a massive fight at Manchester Arena against Joseph Parker.
The press conference down here today was probably the most interesting press conference I've seen in memory. We've got 2 sides of the stage with two promotional bodies here in BT and Sky on the head table together. Can't remember the last time we saw promoters of those two on the same table, and there was a bit of back and forth between the two about how the deal came about and who was in the wrong. It's actually nice though to see people reaching across the promotional divide to make these fights happen. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. How could that ever be a bad thing? The one thing we get in boxing is terrible for the fans, that the big fights don't get made, or we miss out on big fights, or they happen too late because promoters don't want to work together, managers don't want to work together, whatever. To see a young promoter in Ben Shalom, who's got a massive broadcast behind him, to see an experienced guy in Frank Warren, who's got a massive broadcast behind him, work together, can only be a good thing. And this hopefully could be the start of many great fights getting made on either platform. You know, it can only be a good thing for the sport, and it's a good thing for the fighters because they've got the best possible fight made for either man that's realistic, and it's a big prize on the line, so it can only be great things for the future as well.
Have we got a pay-per-view price yet or not?
No pay-per-view price yet. I actually don't even know it, so I can't even give like a rough figure. I don't want to say it and it'd be completely wrong, but no, I haven't got an idea on a pay-per-view price. I'm assuming it will be the normal kind of price. I don't see why it'd be any different, but I don't think it'd be as much as AJ and Usyk, because their price has just gone up, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So I don't think it would be as much as that.
Just a couple more for you. A lot of the discussion at the head table today was about how this fight was getting made and the problems they've had since July, but we finally got here. What was the kind of deciding factor in getting this fight over the line from a contractual point of view?
David Higgins stopped being a toolbox and realised that there was nothing else out there. There's nowhere to go. The guy is crazy, man. I swear to God. If you heard some of the things he's saying...
Come on, tell us. What was he demanding?
Let's to make it simple for everyone, yeah? Rather than make this really complicated. He would one night ask for 4 pineapples, hypothetically, yeah? And he would completely forget that conversation that you had. And they would ask for 16 pineapples the next day. Well, we just had something agreed. Why are we going back and then doing this? And it was just saying like that all the time. He wants... Do you know, honestly, I'll tell you what one of the things were, yeah? Now, this is crazy. It's about where his seat is in the arena, and that make sure the camera's facing there. I'm genuinely not joking around with you, yeah? I'm being deadly serious. That is the most ridiculous one I've heard, right? And that is the kind of things that we're getting in the way of a pay-per-view fight. Now, for me, come on, are we serious here? Are we talking about business? Are we talking about earning our fighters the most amount of money and giving them the best opportunities, or are we talking about cameras on seats? It is ridiculous,
So
that's just one thing.
Are you saying that thing that actually slowed down the making of this fight?
That was just one of those pineapples I was telling you about. That was just one of those. But Like, I've never seen anything like it. Listen, everyone wants the best deal for their fighters, so no deal should be easy because you want the best possible and you want to earn the most money. You've got to keep digging away, especially at this level. So I'm all for that, by the way. So, like, negotiations have never been easy for any big fight, but, like, for him, I can understand what everyone said about him, about it being so difficult, about him going back on what he's promised and what he said. Oh, this is why they're not getting a rematch clause the other way, because he can't go through this again, man. We can't go through this again.
To just sign us off, Shane, by telling us why you think your man is going to overcome Joe Parker on.
Because you know what? His attributes. So, Parker's definitely got attributes that can trouble Joe. Absolutely, this is why it's a world level fight. But the attributes that Joe has against Parker's, the lack of an engine and whatnot, you can't, once you're in there and you've got nothing left in the tank and you're fighting against Joyce, what can you do? Like, you're just going to get absolutely smashed to pieces, and that's what's going to happen. And Parker's attributes work for so long, only so long, 3-4 rounds, and then you need to take 5 or 6 rounds off because you can't fight at that pace for long. So Joe might be 4 rounds down after 4, he might be 5 rounds down after 5. But he's going to get to him, and eventually, and once he does, there's no going back. You're absolutely gone. That's what he's done every fight. The first couple of rounds, Bar was boxing nice. Joe got to him, then the fight started to disappear. Takam as well. Takam was boxing a fight with life for the first 5 rounds. Joe got to him, the fight was over. It's almost like a repeat process every fight he has, and it doesn't ever seem to change. The only one that kind of challenged him, which was a great learning fight, especially for this fight, was Brian Jennings.
Yeah.
Because Brian Jennings was tough. Joe never fought anyone like that before, as a pro anyway. And his training setup wasn't right for that anyway. That's why he needs to warm over training camps. But fighting Brian Jennings has actually probably put us in great stuff for this fight, actually.
Just the last one then. So Joe comes through this. I'm expecting the undisputed fight to happen. If that fight happens, where does Joe go?
Well, we'll have I would imagine a tick over to keep him ready. It won't be a tick over like a terrible fight. It'll be against a top 15 opponent. And then they have to have the fight will be stripped. There could be another title on the line for this fight as well, which will warrant one of them two to have to fight them straight afterwards.
Okay, tell us a little bit about that.
Could be like some kind of interim belt. Which
an interim belt.
That would have to mean that they'll have to fight at a certain amount of time will be stripped. And if they get stripped, the interim champion becomes the email champion, a bit like Devin Haney. So. But obviously we want Joe to win the heavyweight world championship legitimately, which would be beating Anthony Joshua or Usyk for the WBO. Or listen, if the WBC want to make us mandatory, we could fight Tyson Fury as well. So. And
just to make sure that we've got a good title on this video, if Joyce comes through Parker and he does show down against Usyk or Joshua next year, I imagine, how does that fight play out?
Joyce smashes Joshua to bits, simple as that.
Perfect.
Stylistically is an absolute mess and nightmare for him. And Usyk, it's a tough fight. It's a tough fight. Stylistically very tough. It's tough in the amateurs. But again, that's not a 5-rounder. This is a 12-rounder. And being in ring with 12 rounds for Joe Joyce and not letting him walk through you is going to be a very difficult job for anyone. So.
Shane Watson, CEO, COO of S-Jam Boxing. Thank you for speaking to Pro Boxing fans and catch you soon.
Top man.